Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ video episode number 978. We have WWE Great Balls of Fire, hashtag WWE Balls, this coming Sunday. NoDQ is on the road to 1,000 episodes of NoDQ video. And there goes Brock Lesnar. The Bret Hart figures were trying to take him out, but they failed. Perhaps this will be a sign of things to come on Sunday. Samoa Joe will fail to take out Brock Lesnar. We will see. But anyways, 1,000 is coming up soon. Please keep spreading the word. Tell a friend. Link this video on social media. Whatever you can do as we get closer to 1,000 episodes. With that being said, let's get down to your questions today. First one comes from one of my favorites, and because he has such a cool name, he gets the first question today. Aaron Rift rules, the Demon King. Given the rumors that AJ versus Shinsuke Nakamura is eventually occurring again, do you think WWE could produce a better version of this match? I absolutely think they could, because if WWE allowed AJ and Nakamura to go out there with no handcuffs, let them have the best match possible, those guys could absolutely have as great of a match that they had in Japan, maybe even better being on a WWE stage. I think with no limitations, the two of them can have an all-time classic match, not just in WWE, but in the entire wrestling world. Ideally, I would like to see AJ Styles versus Nakamura at WrestleMania. I could see it happening sooner, maybe at SummerSlam, but I think with the right build, AJ Styles versus Nakamura for the WWE title at WrestleMania, the co-main event along with John Cena versus Roman Reigns. I think you got a red-hot WrestleMania and the potential to have two of the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time for different reasons. Cena and Reigns would be more about the star power. AJ and Nakamura would be more about the wrestling. I think it would be win-win for everybody. I've said this many times. That's what I would like to see at WrestleMania. So under the right circumstances, yes, I think AJ Styles and Nakamura could have one of the best matches in WWE history. This one comes from Matthew. Hey Aaron, normally I cannot stand Enzo, but that promo was really good, really heartfelt. I give it 10 out of 10. How about you? I thought it was great. Enzo is gold on the mic. I've been saying this for the longest time. That is what has brought him to the dance. Now, will he continue to develop as a major superstar in WWE? The size is going to work against him. But the promo skills should keep him in a prominent position in WWE for months to come, maybe even years to come. I think a lot of that will depend on him. But so far, in this storyline with Cass, he's doing a tremendous job, and you can feel for him. You can understand the pain he's going through, and that's what makes the promos so effective. The fact that he is speaking from the heart, and his promos do not feel like a script. They feel like it's coming right from inside, and that's how he really feels, and that's what makes it so great. I think he did a tremendous job on Raw, and hopefully he will continue to be pushed after the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. I'd like to see the feud continue, but I'm not getting my hopes up. My gut feeling is Cass is going to win a one-off match and then move on to the big show or something like that, and then who knows what's going to happen with Enzo. But I've said this before, I think there's a lot of mileage with an Enzo and Cass feud, and maybe even they should have stayed a team for a while to stretch the thing out a little bit, and they could have done a good 6-month angle with these two leading to a final breakup and maybe even a WrestleMania match. This one comes from DJ Whitty. Yo Aaron, what are you expecting from the Enzo and Cass match at WWE Balls, hashtag WWE Balls? Will Enzo get any offense pre-show match? I do not think it's going to be added to the pre-show. Right now we have Neville versus Tozawa as the kickoff match, and I could only see Enzo and Cass being on the pre-show match if WWE is really short on time and there's a second kickoff match, but I don't think that's going to happen. That would be a huge mistake also, and given the amount of stock WWE put into this match on Raw, you know, for the opening Raw promo, the video package was about Enzo and Cass, Enzo came out there. He got a solid 10 minutes to talk. WWE has invested a lot in this storyline, and they should have a significant match at the pay-per-view. I would hope that it's not going to be one-sided. Obviously, the size difference, you see Enzo as the big underdog, and that should really be the storyline, but it would be cool to see this feud play out a little bit. What I think is going to happen is Enzo's going to keep getting knocked down, and he's going to keep getting back up. Like Greg Cherry brought up when we did the predictions video for WWE Balls, he talked about the idea of recreating WrestleMania 26, where Shawn Michaels would not stay down and The Undertaker would tell him to stay down. And it'll be that type of storyline here where Cass just keeps knocking down Enzo, Enzo keeps getting back up, and finally Enzo will be put away, but not after getting up time after time again, and Cass just getting more and more frustrated that he won't stay down. So that's what I'm thinking will happen in this match. This one comes from Banks Club 27. If you had 100% control over WWE, what are all the changes you would do to the product, big and small? This is a very loaded question, and I would actually like to talk with the NoDQ panel about this. Maybe we can do a future video where we all discuss various ideas on what to do. In my opinion, to sum it up fairly quickly, the #1 problem I have with WWE is Raw and SmackDown Live are not must-see shows. So I would make Raw and SmackDown must-see again. I would have cliffhangers. I would change things up a bit with the storylines, have more stories that have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and have them play out over several weeks and several months. Give people reasons to tune in every week, announce things in advance, which they do sometimes, but I would do more of it, and put together the shows like you have competition, like WCW still exists, and you're trying to keep the people invested in what they're watching and keep them engaged. I would get rid of the scripting, at least the heavy scripting, go back to using bullet points, and give guys more creative freedom to develop their characters. And I would do less of the backstage pre-tapes. I would bring back the old concept from Nitro where Gene Okerlund used to be in the ring. He would bring out guys, or he would be out on the stage and he would bring out guys. I would do that. Have one of the announcers do more of those types of segments. We saw a little bit of that last year, but not quite as much this year. Do more segments maybe before, like pre-match interviews, post-match interviews, more stuff like that, and more live segments like that with the wrestlers coming out and interacting with each other on the stage and that sort of thing. And maybe not make the segments quite as long, and stop doing these segments where you have guys, 5 or 6 guys come out one after another, and then it gets turned into a 6-man tag team match in the next segment. Get rid of those segments, get rid of the contract signings, and just try some different things. Try coming up with new concepts, new characters, new ideas, and think outside the box. This one comes from Nick Easy. Did Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar do a double turn this week? That's what it looked like. I brought this up when we did the predictions video for Great Balls of Fire. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. A little bit of a controversial start to that video. Regarding Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, I mean, I think Brock Lesnar's character is just a tweener. He's Brock Lesnar. He goes out there, he destroys people. He's neither a face or a heel. It seems that Lesnar goes back and forth. It was really weird because for the first several weeks, it felt like Joe was the definite heel in this storyline. But then on Raw, you had Brock Lesnar acting all cocky and laughing at Joe. And then Joe was really determined. He wanted to fight Lesnar face-to-face right there. He did not want to wait until the pay-per-view. And he went after Lesnar, and then the security broke them up. That was a very babyface thing to do by Joe. So it's really interesting. I guess maybe the idea here is it doesn't matter who's the heel or face. It's just two badasses getting in the ring and fighting. You can cheer for whoever you want. And that's the attitude that WWE has for this particular match. Traditionally, I would prefer if there was a clear-cut face and a clear-cut heel. I think for this match, you know, this format might work where you cheer for either guy, you cheer for whoever you want, you boo the other guy, and it's one of those situations where the fans do the dual chants, let's go Lesnar, let's go Joe, and, you know, it's just a split reaction. And maybe that'll work. I think it'll work okay, actually, for this Sunday. I think the fans just want to see a great fight with two big bulls beating the hell out of each other and locking horns and just having this knockdown, drag-out fight. Got this one here from Craig. Hey Aaron, when will this feud end between The Miz and Dean Ambrose? I am really over watching these two. I agree with you 100%. I really hope that Great Balls of Fire is the end of this feud. It has gone on way too long. I was over it before it even started on Raw. You know, they had that feud on SmackDown, and then they started the feud over again on Raw and just kept it going. It would be one thing if they had a really compelling storyline, but they haven't. I will say the last few weeks with the Bear, that was entertaining, and The Miz is always great, but Ambrose's character, to me, is flat right now. I really don't care about his character, and I think he needs a heel turn, or he needs to do something different. Just what he's doing right now is not working for me, and I would be disappointed if Ambrose wins back the title, because I think Miz works way better as the IC champion. He gives the belt more credibility, and Ambrose just needs to do something different. Miz as the heel IC champion, that works for me. I would keep it at that. Maybe have somebody screw over Ambrose in the match so you can start a new feud with Ambrose and somebody else. Maybe Bray Wyatt will lose to Seth Rollins, and then he'll randomly appear and cost Ambrose the match to start a new feud that he'll lose. Something like that. This one comes from Steve. Hey Aaron, WWE ratings are at an all-time low. Do you think they struggle to attract indie talent and recruit for the PC? Hashtag PAIV1. So we have a first-time asker here. WWE is not struggling at all to bring in talent. Even if the ratings are down, WWE is still the only game in town. They're still the big league, and you have a lot of guys that would just do anything to be on WWE television. There are so many people out there that have that dream, and as long as WWE is successful, or even mildly successful, that's the way it's going to be. You know, you're going to have fans that grew up on WWE and are going to want to get into the business, and WWE is where the money's at too. For some guys, they can make a lot of money on the indies, but WWE is the big game in town, and it most likely will be for many years to come. WWE is not going to run short of guys to bring in. They will always have plenty of people to choose from, and right now, you already have too many people, and you have guys getting lost in the shuffle and getting frustrated that they're not getting on television. So WWE is not in need of new talent right now. They got plenty of great talent, and they are having trouble using all that talent right now. This one comes from Calvin. Hey Aaron, which 3 indie guys, girls / teams would you sign to WWE? Mine would be Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, and you mentioned a few women here. I like the idea of bringing in the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. I've said this for a while now. I definitely feel those guys will end up in WWE at some point. Regarding women, I know she did appear in a Battle Royal at one of the recent tapings, but, you know, I've said for several months and even the last couple of years, I think Candice LeRae is a person who would be a major talent in WWE if given the opportunity. I would definitely push her and get her on the main roster as soon as possible. I think she's a tremendous talent. But yeah, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, those have to be the next guys. And Ricochet's another guy I could see WWE picking up. Definitely one of the more talented guys out there. Will Ospreay. And there's a bunch of others. There's, like I said, a lot of talent. And if WWE wants them bad enough, they'll get them. It's just a matter of the right timing and WWE making the right offer for these guys. This one comes from Tyler Joseph Smith. What's the point of wrestlers watching tapes on each other? It always seemed like a silly thing to say. In kayfabe back in the day, it made sense because you would want to study your opponent and know their moves so you're prepared. It's a way of getting prepared for your opponent. And, you know, learning from the guys who came before you is how you get good. Just like in any form of art or entertainment, if you want to become a good painter, you look back at the classic painters and see what they did, see what worked. And in non-kayfabe terms, that's the same thing. If you want to become a great wrestler, you go back and you watch what the previous stars did. If you want to be a great wrestler, you watch Shawn Michaels and see what he did in the ring and how he did it, how he moved around, how he talked, how he acted in front of the crowd. All these things. You look at what the people before you did, and that's how you become great. You learn from the masters, both in kayfabe and in non-kayfabe. This one comes from Nathan. What's next for Dean Ambrose after his feud with The Miz is over? That's a great question. Going back to earlier, I was talking about Dean Ambrose. I'm not really sure what you do with him. Like I said in this video earlier and in other videos, I think Ambrose needs to turn heel. And I sound like I'm just running my mouth here and nothing's ever going to happen. But Ambrose needs to turn. His character doesn't work for me. He's supposed to be this lunatic, yet he's like the most non-crazy lunatic in the history of professional wrestling. He doesn't act crazy. We need the CCW Dean Ambrose back. We need that really demented character to emerge. And I think a heel turn would bring out that character in Dean Ambrose. I want the violent Dean Ambrose that is scary and a guy you would not want to mess with. You know, right now he's a joke. You know, he comes out there, he does this really lame comedy, and it falls flat most of the time, other than the Mitch the Plant. The stuff he does is really lame, and some would say even that was lame. I want to see a violent Brian Pillman-like Dean Ambrose. Not this watered-down guy who comes out there and does the lame comedy, and that's what makes him crazy, that he tells these really goofy, off-the-wall jokes. No, he needs to be a psychopath. That's what I want to see from Dean Ambrose. And maybe turn him heel, have him feud with Finn Balor. There's a lot of different things. You know, Finn Balor seems to have nothing going on right now. Turn Ambrose, bam. Dean Ambrose, Finn Balor, SummerSlam. I would go with that. This one comes from PER, and I'm not sure what that thumbnail picture is. I'm not sure if I want to know. What's up with the WWE 2K18 trailer with Seth Rollins destroying the statue of Andre the Giant when he's a babyface? And this is another first-time asker. I just laugh at that because I've gotten a lot of comments about that. People saying, what's the deal with that trailer if Seth Rollins is a babyface? This company has done so bad with Seth Rollins. I was about to say Dean Ambrose. Pretty much the same rule applies to Seth Rollins. Rollins is another guy that needs to turn heel. I talked about this, I think, in the last video or 2 videos ago. You know, of the 3 Shield members, it's like, I feel right now, of the 3, Reigns is the one who's best off being a face, because WWE has dropped the ball so badly on Rollins and Ambrose. At least people care about Reigns. Even if they don't like him, there's still that loud reaction he gets, and people are invested in Reigns. With Rollins, I just don't care about him now, and he's on the cover of the video game. I feel like his character has gotten so stale, and he's such an unlikable babyface. I'm surprised more fans haven't turned on him. I'm surprised he's not starting to get the Roman Reigns boos, because his character has been portrayed so poorly, maybe even worse than Ambrose, if that's possible. So yeah, I have no idea what they're thinking with that. I really don't. This one comes from Bella Kay Royce. And this is another first-time asker. So I would like to thank you all for sending in your first-time questions. Remember, hashtag PAIV1 to send in a first question if I've never answered one before. Do you see Billy and Payne succeeding on the main roster? I find them so entertaining. Hard to say right now. I think that they still need some development. I think they work well as a team. If they're brought in as a team, they might be able to succeed. But again, I think it's going to come down to timing and bringing them up at the right time when there's a good spot for them and they don't get lost in the shuffle. You know, Carmella is starting to come into her own, so I would certainly not rule it out that they'll come in and they'll succeed. But right now, I just feel like their strength is being a team, a unit, and you know, it's kind of like the Bella Twins a little bit. But I'm not sure what they can do in the ring as singles competitors and if they can really stand out as individuals. That I don't think has been really tested at this point. But I haven't seen a lot of NXT. I'm just going off of what I've seen on the TakeOver specials and the occasional NXT shows. But I think maybe in 6 months I'll have to reevaluate things and see how they're doing. Right now I would say it's too soon to call them up, and I think they would get lost in the shuffle. That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. We're getting close to episode 1000, August 16th. Mark your calendar. Tell a friend about NoDQ Video. Spread the word. Reddit. Any site you go on, mention NoDQ Video. Word of mouth can really go a long way. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com this weekend for WWE Great Balls of Fire coverage. Use the hashtag WWE Balls on Twitter if you would like me to retweet some of your stuff and your opinions. And follow NoDQ, of course, at NoDQ, DOTCOM. Same thing on Facebook. You can follow my personal account at Aaron Rift on Facebook, on Instagram at Aaron Rift, Twitter at Aaron Rift. Yada, 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 so on and so on. My personal YouTube channel with the cat videos. I know you all love the cats. YouTube.com/Aaron Rift. Got my top 35 Simpsons episodes video on there. And a bunch of other stuff. Breaking Bad video, travel videos around Oregon. Lots of different content on there. So check it out. YouTube.com/Aaron Rift. That's it for all the plugs. I will see you guys next time.